Taxi Dramas, Episode 12. Hello family. Hello pre-squad. Welcome to another episode of the PR show, and today we are in episode 12 where we will be talking about taxi dramas. But before we go there, let me welcome you to the show, and if you are new, I welcome you to the family of love, and with love and in return please subscribe, like and comment, and let's grow together. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Okay, let's get to our topic for the day. You know the saying that if you don't have a car, use public transport, and by public transport we mean taxis, buses, Ubers, but in this topic we'll be engaging in taxi dramas. If the drama isn't caused by passengers, it's mostly the drivers. Let me first talk about the pain and frustration taxis put us through on our daily basis because we are depending on them since we don't have cars or don't want to use the bus because of personal reasons. Taxis behaving badly are a sad reality of driving on South African roads, yet inconsiderate behavior is considered normal. Drivers. Defective braking systems that cause a driver to use his gears to slow down the taxi. Faulty door mechanisms. Badly rusted, unstable older taxis. A very dangerous trend I have noticed is taxis are those with leaking exhaust systems and not enough engine insulation that causes carbon monoxide to enter the taxi cabin. Loose and broken seats amongst many other unroadworthy features. They have enough time in the afternoon to fill up the tank with petrol, but they choose to do that after taking us from the rank and not being apologetic about it. They yell at passengers for missing coins, but we don't when our change comes in with a short coin. Their speed is terrible in the roads and you can't tell them anything because it's not your car. They turn the radio so loud that you can barely hear each other. Others risks with people's lives because they want to make more money by firstly dropping the firstly load. Yes, they call us load, and when they pick you up and the taxi half full, they call you damages. I understand that for the drivers and owners of taxis it is their livelihood, but how can we make a compromise? Whenever these taxis get impounded, their drivers go on strikes demanding the release of these dangerous vehicles. Taxi drivers are also humans just like passengers, and their lives are not safe, and they face the following challenges. Abusive customers. Taxi drivers sometimes have to work unsociable hours, it's just part of the shift system cab firms operate. Non-payment. Robbery. Health issues and tiredness. Driving at peak times and in congested areas can easily leave you not firing on all cylinders over the course of a day. Stress can also be caused by factors away from the road, too. Dealing with difficult people, keeping on top of appointments, financial and personal problems can all contribute to feeling tense. Rude or abusive clients. As with many service jobs, customers can be unnecessarily rude at times. This is especially true for taxi drivers working late into the night and early hours of the morning when they're dropping off and picking up potentially intoxicated customers. Of course, some people are just plain rude and will still be abusive towards a taxi driver, even if it's 2:30 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. While preventing these situations is not entirely possible, there are some measures that taxi drivers can take to make their lives a little easier. Adding CCTV cameras, plastic partitions, and lockable windows can be easily installed to ensure your safety as a taxi driver. Additionally, taxi drivers should try their best to remain calm when dealing with a rude customer. Customers not paying. Unfortunately, non-payment is another problem taxi drivers frequently have to deal with. It's important to note that customers who do not pay or get into your taxi, knowing that they don't have the money to pay for the fare, are committing theft and fraud. These are serious offenses that taxi drivers can and should report to the police. Possibility of being robbed. Opportunists often prey on taxi drivers as they assume they're carrying significant sums of cash or other valuable items like cell phones. Nowadays, most taxis only accept card payments, but those that do not yet have this facility should look to have it installed. Additionally, taxi drivers can refuse a job if they feel it is unsafe to do so. However, the reason given for refusal must be valid. Passengers. They talk so loudly that the driver lose focus. They don't pay on time or not at all and causes other passengers to be late just for one passenger who didn't pay. They eat in the taxi and causes it to be dirty and blames the driver for not tidying it up. Some even drink alcohol even though they know it's prohibited. Some pay with a huge money and expect the driver to have a change in the morning. Passengers often blames the one in front if there is money shortage. 17 things that give taxi drivers a bad reputation. Looking for a more profitable fare for a taxi driver, it's pretty annoying to queue in a rank at a railway station, only to pick up a passenger who wants a short hop that will net you just a $5. However, taxi drivers are allowed to refuse to take passengers only in certain circumstances, such as when they want to travel outside the district. Failing to take a passenger on a short journey could lose you your license. Better to accept the situation as just part and parcel of a taxi driver's life, take the passenger with good grace, and hope they give you a generous tip. Not taking passengers all the way to their destination arriving, especially in cities, can be a frustrating business. Just one set of roadworks can easily double your journey time. It's tempting in those situations to suggest to the passenger that they walk the final stretch. They might reach their destination quicker, and you can get onto your next fare in good time. However, for passengers carrying heavy luggage, who find it difficult to walk, or who don't know their way around, those final 100 meters are a huge challenge. Sure, you can suggest they walk. But insisting on it will gain you a bad reputation. Taking a longer route so you're picking up passengers from the airport. You can see they're foreign, lost, and desperate to get to their hotel in this strange city. Are you tempted to take them the scenic route, even though it's dark? Plenty of taxi drivers do just that. Indeed, many tourists suspect you're doing it even when you're not, which can be hurtful for honest drivers. These days, with Google Maps on smartphones, passengers are pretty savvy. The best way to boost your fare is by offering an excellent service, not by trying to bamboozle people. Failing to wait, it's understandable that drivers don't want to wait too long. Each minute spent idling outside someone's home is wasted as far as you're concerned. But if you arrive at a pickup point 5 minutes early then speed off 4 minutes later, passengers are understandably aggrieved and mightily inconvenienced. Sure, you might pick up your next fare more quickly, and earn yourself an extra tenner. But in the longer term, your reputation and your business will suffer. Trying to charge passengers extra, whether it's extra bags, extra passengers or extra mileage, some drivers will attempt to use them as leverage to gain extra cash. Passengers feel they've no choice but to accept grudgingly. Unless there's a good reason for these charges and you spell it out at the time of booking, you're going to anger a lot of passengers this way. Reputation matters. There's a lot of competition out there between taxi firms. So if word spreads that you've hit passengers with an unexpected and unexplained charge, expect your business to suffer in the long term. Failing to give passengers change, it's understandable that drivers don't carry a lot of change. You're in a vulnerable position, and large sums of money could make you a magnet for trouble. But no change for a tenner for an £8 fare. That's hard to believe. As society goes increasingly cashless, more and more drivers are accepting card and phone payments, so maybe this irritation will soon be a thing of the past. Making passengers feel uncomfortable or unsafe, the vast majority of taxi drivers are courteous, even when their passengers are not. Some drivers, however, overstep the mark. If you're a male driver, you need to behave in a professional manner towards all passengers, but especially women on their own. Even if she's chatty, she wants to feel safe. That's probably why she's taken your cab rather than the bus. If it's late at night, or if she's drunk, then it's doubly important that you don't act in an overfamiliar way. Putting any customer in an awkward position will mean they're very reluctant to travel with your firm again. If you're persistent or intimidating, you could well find they make a complaint about your behavior to your boss, local authority, or even the police. Driving badly. If you're on the road all day, it gets very tempting to cut corners. After all, you'll see countless other commercial drivers running red lights and undertaking some very alarming U-turns. Don't do it. As a professional driver, you're already at a higher risk of traffic accidents than most people, simply because you spend so many hours on the road. Don't make accidents more likely by breaking road laws. They're there for a reason, which is to keep you, your passengers and other road users safe. Stick to the road laws, and make sure you've got good taxi insurance in case of accidents. Failing to turn up. Passengers don't book taxis just for fun. They want to get somewhere, usually by a certain time. So if you fail to turn up when expected, your reputation will plummet. That passenger will turn to your competitor immediately, and will tell their friends and neighbors about your failure too. So invest in a good booking and administration system. Make sure support staff are clued up. And when you say you'll be somewhere at a certain time, make sure you are. Discriminating against disabled passengers. Now this is about more than just reputation. This is a moral and legal issue, too. It's against the law to refuse to carry a wheelchair if a passenger needs one. Likewise, assistance dogs, unless you are already displaying a medical certificate that shows you're allergic to them. You face a fine and the loss of your taxi driver license if you're found to have refused to carry a passenger because of their disability. There really is no excuse. Many cabs are now wheelchair accessible, and if not, you should be able to store the chair in your boot. And assistance dogs are really not going to cause you any trouble. They're perfectly trained in how to behave in a taxi, which is more than you can say for some passengers. Driving without a taxi license. There's a fair amount of paperwork involved in becoming a taxi driver, so it's understandable that some drivers just want to get on the road and start earning money before they're properly licensed. But doing so could land you with a large fine, and invalidate your taxi insurance. Smoking in your vehicle. The law is clear, you are not permitted to smoke in your taxi or minicab. Even if it's your own vehicle, and even if you are not carrying passengers at the time. If you need to smoke, take a break and have your cigarette well away from your vehicle. However, be aware that smoke clings to your clothes. While that's not illegal, many customers find it unpleasant to be in a confined space with the smell of stale cigarette smoke, and might avoid traveling with you again. Yet another reason to kick the habit for good. As for drinking and driving, it's illegal and dangerous. Don't even think about doing it. Making passengers share your vehicle. Sometimes it makes total sense to see if passengers would like to share your taxi with others traveling the same way. If cabs are in short supply, it can be a massive help for stranded passengers. It also reduces costs for everyone involved, and is better for the environment. However, not everybody wants to share a cab. They might find it uncomfortable, from both a physical and a psychological point of view. If you sense that the first people in the queue don't want to share, don't force the issue. It will create bad feeling all around. Having a dirty or shabby vehicle, your cab is your livelihood. You should be caring for it, getting it checked and serviced regularly, and covering it with a suitable taxi insurance policy. From a passenger's point of view, they want to travel in a recently valeted car. They don't want to sit in debris left behind by other passengers, or smell the lingering traces of your lunch. Of course, at the end of a busy Friday night, your vehicle interior may not be as pristine as when you began your shift. But keep it as tidy as possible. Tell passengers, politely, not to eat in your vehicle, and ask them to take their rubbish home with them. Take a quick look in the passenger area between rides, and clear out any obvious mess. Not returning lost property. It's frustrating that so many passengers leave wallets, glasses, coats, umbrellas and such like behind. You can't keep track of every item, particularly not if you're on a busy shift. But if you find mobile phones, laptops, cameras or anything with an internal memory, personal ID such as passports or bank cards, or large sums of money, you should try to return them or take them to a police station. Drugs should also be handed in, for obvious reasons. Other items you should keep for at least 28 days. Drivers who go that extra mile to reunite passengers with their lost property will quickly win gratitude and boost their reputation. Carrying out their own personal business. When you're giving a passenger a ride, you're at work. So you need to act professionally. That means not holding lengthy phone calls about your own family or personal business. It means not stopping to pick something up from a shop. And certainly not giving a lift to a friend or family member. All the above can be disconcerting or intimidating for nervous passengers, many of whom find being in a confined space with strangers somewhat alarming. Keep everyone happy by separating your personal and your professional lives. I am sure that most of us attended driving school under the K53 rules or its predecessors. However, I do not think I can assume that our taxi drivers went through the same system as we did. I think there is a secret driving school for taxi drivers that is actually exclusively run by the traffic department. One of the main reasons why the Minister of Transport, Jeff Radebe, introduced the taxi recapitalization program was to increase safety on the roads. The safety requirements under the program are seat belts, rollover bars, Type 2 braking system, commercially rated tires, size 185R or 195R for the minibus. Warning markings, wheel bands, tamper-proof speed governors, 100 km per hour will be set as the maximum, and diesel-fueled. In reality, however, these requirements are not adhered to. Many taxi owners still use the old taxis where seatbelts and even speedometers are non-existent. In cases where seatbelts and speedometers are functional in the taxi, drivers and passengers seldom use them. The condition of some of these taxis is atrocious, with some doors needing rope to be closed shut. One day, while sitting in the front seat, I put on my safety belt and the taxi driver said, "MMM, you singa fan yukuba angum langunje ngoba engsaba iziat belt." MMM, she thinks she is white, wearing a seat belt and all. I found this to be a particularly arbitrary statement because black people in cars wear safety belts. Therefore, my act of wanting to be safer on the road resulted in me being reproached for deviating from the norm. So clearly the expected decorum from passengers is just to sit quietly and let the taxi driver do his thing, hoping and praying that they arrive alive. I am not oblivious to the fact that it is not just taxi drivers that drive fast and recklessly, many citizens are guilty as well. But I think we have all seen the manifestation of taxi drivers' attitudes by the way they behave on the road. I would really appreciate some commentary and suggestions on how we or the government can influence taxi drivers' behavior so that we can have safer roads on which to travel. And, even more interestingly, commentary on whether citizens believe anything can actually be done to curtail the taxi problem. Some people might say that if you have a problem with taxis, then do not ride them. But I do not believe in running away from the problem and complaining elsewhere. I believe that sometimes change has to be initiated from within. I think that taxis are a very valuable resource in our country and should not be disbanded. I mean, nothing can replace the joys of the sense of community one gets from the conversations one has on a taxi, and not forgetting the chicken eating festival held every day. But in all seriousness, I cannot tout for my 30-minute time gain when I see that it is gained at the expense of other cars on the road and, more importantly, people's safety, both in cars and taxis. My beautiful pre-squaders, I hope you learned the importance of respecting a driver and a driver respecting a passenger, because the end of the day we are both helping each other. Thank you so much for tuning in, and now I am gonna sound like a broken record. Please subscribe, like and comment. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.